Okay, so all right, sorry, I apologize.
That's okay.
So you wanna go ahead and tell them some of the stuff you do that's really cool with regards to your class. I know we talked about some stuff with like trading cards and then some other programs. So let's start with the trading card system you set up. Did you create that from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, no. The concept of it kind of came from my childhood. Like some of the things I liked to enjoy doing was just playing video games. One of my favorite video games was the Final Fantasy series.
Yeah.
And in Final Fantasy VIII, they have a trading card game.
Yeah.
And so I tried to model it off of that one. But in this one, it's a little different.
Yeah.
It's more educational, a lot more educational.
That's good. That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
School and stuff, you know.
Yeah, school and stuff.
So they play on a 4x4 grid, and each card has so many numbers on each side. But each card has a picture over the historical figure we're going over, and also goes over information, different abilities. Usually the abilities on the cards I try to match with things they actually did. Like when we get to Mesopotamia, they have like a Mesopotamia card deck they get to choose cards from.
That's
At
cool.
Mesopotamia they have Hammurabi. And so one of Hammurabi's abilities is like Hammurabi's code, and it kind of mentions his ability of how his code really impacted other cards and how it impacts other Mesopotamia cards. The whole card thing started because last year I found that the biggest issue I had was I had a bunch of kids who knew the material, knew the classwork, but they just weren't turning in the assignments.
Yeah.
And so I'd have some students who were, A, B students, and they were maybe getting like D's or even worse because they just weren't turning in anything.
Yeah.
And they were okay getting that D. And I want them to be better where they're actually wanting to get the, B's or higher at the A. So this year I kind of started over the summer. I decided to make some of the cards, which was a bit of an undertaking.
I'm going to say, it seems time consuming.
It is. It's not done.
Yeah.
I think I've only got, of course, we're just now in the grease unit. I'm still having to work on a few of those cards before I print them because I don't want them to be too, too powerful. I want them to kind of be balanced with the other cards. But starting off, I had my Paleolithic Mesopotamia card deck, which included things like a Megatherium, which is a giant sloth.
I got a couple of those.
Yeah.
What would it be without the giant sloth?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's right. And we had Otzi the Iceman. And we got to Egypt after that, and more iconic figures they recognize like Ra, Set, then the ones that and King Tut. But King Tut really is only like
he's like 12 years old. He didn't do much, right?
Yeah, he really didn't do that much. He died when he was like 19.
19, my bad. Give or take.
But really, he doesn't do that much. So we kind of go over him, but he's only like a little bit, and then we kind of learn more about like Ramses II, Akhenaten, some of the ones who really kind of shaped and changed the culture a little bit more. Some more popular than others.
Yeah.
And of course, in the information, I found that some of the kids, because last year when it was like Akhenaten, nobody could remember what he did.
Yeah.
It was just kind of the name. But because of the card game, it kind of gives a description over what he did to the Egyptian people and what he, how kind of unpopular he was for changing their whole religious system. Yeah. And so the kids were able to kind of get that answer more.
And super digestible.
Small
chunks.
Yes.
And it's like we live in a world now where if they want the deep dive, they just pull up they're young, but they can pull up their phone and get it. But you're giving them, you're probably teaching all of it, but you're focusing in on those key components that kind of summarize their big impacts on where we are now or that society, that culture.
Yes.
That's really cool.
And especially on the tests, a lot of times I'll try to for the description information, I'll try to put test answers actually in their cards.
Yeah.
And some cards are very rare, out of the roughly 65 kids I have, there's only one of one card sometimes. Yeah. But other times there might be just 4 of that card or a whole bunch, 30, and the kids are like, another unskilled laborer.
So, you can stand in the way of a sword.
Yeah. But I have other cards too, Happy, which is a Egyptian god.
Yeah.
It kind of helps to all the farmer cards, like Mesopotamia farmer, Egyptian farmer. A lot of the kids were like, I keep getting farmers. There's not so good. Yeah. But then that one card, Happy, kind of because of the Nile with its irrigation, kind of bringing farmers to make a lot of agriculture, kind of helps their other cards because they get to play with multiple cards in the game.
Yeah.
So that's what I started off doing in the year, and then later on I was kind of finding, okay, I'm getting work turned in more.
Yeah.
But it's not really good quality work that's getting turned in sometimes. I think they're just doing the work just to get the card package.
Yeah.
And another part of the card package was that they couldn't have detention for that week. As long as they didn't have a detention.
Ooh, that's good. Throw that
week-
classroom management in there.
Yeah, detention that week, and they turned in all their work for the week, they got a card package. But I was getting a lot of assignments, and I was thinking back to last year, and I was like, I'm getting a lot more work turned in, but I feel like the average is a little bit less than what it was. So I was kind of like, maybe my game's not helping in some ways like it was before. So I added a program called Classcraft. It's a thing that you can purchase. I think I did, it was like $100 for a whole year's worth. So I just kind of took that out of my classroom funds.
Sponsored by Classcraft. I'm just kidding. We're not sponsored. I'm just,
We're not. We wish though.
Checks in the mail.
So I did a lot of stuff like that. And they get to, in Classcraft, they get to end up making a character, and they get to choose their different class of character. And each character has health, AP for action points that they get to do things, and some classroom abilities use their AP. Like they get to sit wherever they want for the day if they use an ability. One of them is they get to eat in class for that day if they, or their whole team, because they're on teams too. I have them divided up into like 5 or 6 in each team. So their whole team gets to eat for that day if they use that ability. Or some of the abilities that are really hard to get that take more levels involve like a cheat sheet for the test that I give them as the game master in the game.
Yeah.
And so I get to make it. And I found that it's helped a lot with bringing those grades up now because they get so much experience and more gold based on their assignment grade now rather than just having it turned in. And so I ended up changing the whole card game system to where in the Classcraft game they could accumulate gold for doing things, where now their card packages, instead of it being like a weekly thing where they get the cards, now they have to use so much of their in-game gold to purchase the physical copies of the cards.
That's awesome. So you're using that online program to transfer over into the hand-to-hand game. That's
and so it's really good for the behavioral stuff. And part of the game also, they get to do these boss battles.
Yeah.
And the boss battles, I get to edit the bosses, and sometimes I'll just put in, like we usually do a study game every day or two before the test. And on these study games, I'll end up asking questions over, like one I did velocity, how they had to convert feet per hour into the SI units for meters per second velocity. So they had to end up converting things for their boss battle. If they got it right, they did damage to the boss, and if they got it wrong, then their character got damaged, and they had to work as a team to try to survive. And then if they beat the boss, they get a bunch of experience points and a bunch of gold, which helps them buy more cards. Helps them
building that class culture.
Yes.
Yep. Building that achievement culture. Like you're achieving, but you're also learning something in it.
Yes.
So it sounds like it's like a mix between like you take like Classroom Dojo, you've got like Khan Academy, and then like World of Warcraft or something like that.
Yeah,
like you're combining those three, and you're putting it towards something that also attains the card game that you'd already built to get those in there. That's cool.
Yes, and one of the features that I'm kind of getting into now, because I had it when I did special education, which was probably 3 years ago when I did that, but there wasn't as much to it.
Yeah.
But since I just got it this year, I found that they have a whole new quest line, and so I'm able to kind of go in and people can share their quests. So I ended up searching, for like Greece, what they had for Greece quests, and I didn't really find too much, to be quite honest, that I really wanted that was applicable to my class. So now I've kind of started making quest lines for them, and it kind of has a story component to it, and there's different links that they can end up clicking, and I have Google Forms set up.
Oh, that's cool.
And once they do get such a score on a Google Form, they just have to screenshot it, and they paste it into the Classcraft then, and they submit it to me. And from that point on, they can go on to the next quest, and it's kind of self-driven. Like they can take those Google Forms quizzes as much as they want.
Yeah.
They get to use the websites I give them for their information, or our slides that we kind of go over. And then, they have to get like a 7 out of 10 before they can move on to the next part of the test, part of the quest. And then at the very end of the quest, I have a Google form where it's a one chance form this time.
Yeah.
And they have to use kind of all the information we've talked about before. And if they get it, they get it. If they don't, they miss out on the bigger reward at the end of the quest.